Hey, what's going on, everyone? And welcome to the first episode of the newest show on the FHN network, Pop Topic. I'm your host, Tyler Fines, and I would like to wish everyone a happy 2021. Not quite starting out, and doesn't look like it might be the savior from 2020, but we're hoping for a drastic turnaround over the next couple of months. Pop Topic is brought to you by Dr. T's in Barrie, 69 Dunlop Street West. Looking for new swag? Dr. T's has got you covered. Our first guest to join the show has been nominated for 6 Juno Awards and won 4 of them, including being a part of one of the greatest Canadian hip-hop anthems of all time, Northern Touch, one of my favorite songs. His new single, One Day Away, is out now and can be found on iTunes and Spotify. Please welcome the legendary Canadian hip-hop artist, Kareem Blake, a.k.a. Choclair. What's going on?
Hey, what's up? What's up? How you doing? How are you?
Oh, we're great. I'm fired up. I'm a little like a little fanboy right now. Really excited about this. Been a huge fan for a long time, and really appreciate you jumping on a small show like this to help get us started.
Oh, this is your inaugural show, so definitely you got to do it in a big way. So I'm definitely happy to be a part of it.
Well, thank again for coming on. And what have you been doing during these COVID times?
Man, I've been doing a lot of things that a city kid would never be doing ultimately, which is going in the woods, looking at moose, watching the bears, going kayaking, ice fishing. I just got an ice hut, tenting and sleeping on an island in the middle of a lake, like just weird stuff that I'm not used to, but I've definitely grown a fondness to doing. I really appreciate it because, with all the madness and everything being locked down, just going out and enjoying the beautiful Canadian outdoors has been going really well. And then that's what we did actually in that backdraft video. We just wanted to show some of that stuff as well. So I've just been trying to find the best way to go and still be able to communicate with friends and stuff in an outdoor in a safe setting and experiencing things that I haven't done really ever really.
Yeah. There's not a lot of personal stuff on the internet about you. Are you married? You got kids?
Yeah, I got kids, definitely. I'm separated, but I got a great family. Yeah, I keep it all pretty much really tight, out online. I do more of my things online is just more about me and my music and the business life. I'm one of those guys that, like you won't see me there ranting and raving about what my friend did last night at the bar on Facebook or Twitter. I keep my stuff to my stuff, but I publicly put out all the Choclair stuff so people can hear.
That's great. So, what kind of drove you to go to get outside and test the outdoors? And again, you grew up in Scarborough, so it wasn't. I'm sure there wasn't a ton of that going on when you were growing up.
Yeah, no, it was my friend Dan who works with me, my partner in the business and everything, and that's what he does. He's from a small town like this out here in Brockville, and that's what he would do. And so he kind of put me up into new experiences, and I've just been enjoying it as it's been going on and learning new things and getting new experiences. And it definitely passed us at the time, and yeah, I just enjoy it. So, like you said, yeah, in Scarborough we don't really do that. We go to camps, like your mom or your dad or your parents might send you off to like a 3-day, a weekend camp or something like that, or something where you go and do that. But we actually just go out and figure life out in the middle of the bush. It's kind of crazy, but it's great Canadian outdoors. Love it.
That's great. Well, one of the things that I wanted to ask you was growing up in Scarborough was kind of where you got your inspiration for your music and how did you get started down this path of being one of Canada's most recognizable icons.
Well, my older brother, he went by Livy B back in the day. He was the guy on the block all the time. Like he was into the hip hop and rapping and battling people from this part and that part of where we grew up in Scarborough, right at between Markham and Eglinton and Lawrence, and then we moved to Malvern right after that. But everybody knew him as the rapper on the block, and he used to play CKLN Power Move Show every Saturday, 1 to 4. I think that was before we started getting Flow and G98 and stuff like that. Any type of radio station that gives us hip hop music or whatever, because they didn't play it before. That's where you got your hip hop, was on 88.1 CKLN or the Power Move Show on 89.5. on
Oh,
Saturdays.
wow. I forgot about the power move.
Yeah, so we used to listen to that every Saturday, 1 to 4, 8, I'm forgetting the time. It was either like 7 to 10 or whatever time it was, but we used to listen to it all the time. And he would rap around the stuff. And then we went to a party in our neighborhood one time, and I was practicing, just doing whatever, being influenced by him. And somebody asked me, hey, yo, they would call me Junior. They'd be like, Junior, you're going to go up there and go and rap like your brother? And I went up there and I just did whatever I was kind of messing with at the time. And then somebody just said, yo, man, you know, you're good. You're good. And then I just stayed at it, and I just continued to keep writing. And that's kind of was my birth into getting into it. But definitely it was my older brother, Livy B, and Eddie Murphy Raw, because I was like, this guy's on stage making everybody laugh and he's telling jokes. Man, if I can put some entertainment and music, I could be on stage doing the same thing too. So those two, Eddie Murphy Raw and my older brother, were the things that influenced me to get into entertainment.
Was on stage like a natural thing for you, or something that you had to practice?
Well, I think as anybody who really, you know, like when you get into that thing, you know, you hold the, well, as you can see, I have no hair. So, but you hold the hairbrush and you use it as a microphone. You know, a lot of people, when they, even when they're mimicking their idols and stars, you know, they practice in the mirror. And I remember rapping in the mirror and doing whichever and pretending, oh, you know, what was it? George Michael's Monkey, if you remember that song from way back then.
Oh, that's a, I was gonna say that's a way back.
That's a way back. But I remember because it was one of the live videos, and all the old rock videos back in like the early 90s, late 80s or whatever, they were always like live. Like if you watched Living on a Prayer from Bon Jovi, it was like a live type concert. If you watched Guns N' Roses Paradise City, it was a live concert. So watching all these things kind of made me feel and prepared me to go and do live shows type thing. But when I actually went and got on stage and started performing for myself as an artist, it got a little bit nervous at first, but then I forgot who told me, which sucks. But one of the things that reminded me was that they told me, take that nervousness and turn it into adrenaline. And then there's people here that are there to see you. So show them why they're there to see you. And the people that are there that don't know you, because they're there for another artist or something like that, show them why they need to know you. And then that's what kind of got into me. And I use that as like, you know, as my energy driver to go and make sure that when I go on stage, I don't get nervous. I just more get into a situation of, I'm gonna show you. This is why you're gonna buy my record later. This is why you're gonna leave and say Choclair was good. And I just kind of put it into my soul, and I just expand it to the audience watching.
I love that. And one of the things that you said, just mentioning the word practice, was what's always intrigued me about hip hop artists is just the execution, the flow. But what I've never been able to really figure out or ask anyone is, you know, if you want to perfect the skill, you got to practice it. Rhyming, hip hop is a skill. How do you, like, how do you make the, I guess, make the words flow? Like, what really, I guess, was in your head, and how did it come out? You understand what I'm saying? Like just
Mhm.
what made the lyrics spit out for you?
Well, okay, so and like when I was coming up and starting to rap and everything, you know, like they do battles now, but it was always
Yeah,
freestyle
freestyle
battle.
battles are one of my favorite. I love freestyle battles. Huge fan.
Yeah,
So got to
that's
see Bishop live at the old NRG nightclub. Not sure if you ever made your way through there,
yeah,
but
energy. I remember being there. I
oh
remember
shoot,
being.
okay, we'll
Oh,
touch
I've
on
been
that
there. Yeah,
later.
I remember there was an escalator in that place or something like that.
There's a big group of stairs there. The owner was actually from Orangeville, Ontario, where I grew up. Tony Murata.
Oh, okay, yeah. I remember going to NRG. The thing is that I think it was the freestyle battles
Okay.
because I used to have people in my school. I went to Pope John Paul in Scarborough, and people would come because when there was like rappers from different schools, like West Hill was just up the street, Mother Teresa was just over there, and then you had Pickering, and then you had Dunbarton, which one of my really good friends, Naja Kref, he was there, and he had a crew there. And I just always remember people would be, they would say like, oh, there's a rapper in this school. So then
Oh,
usually at the end of the day, like, you know, when school's about to end and people had spares and stuff like that, if that's what they still call them, they would come to your school and they would just go and be in the school, and we all knew who wasn't there because either they were didn't go there because they were wearing a different school uniform or they weren't in uniform. So we knew they weren't, as we called ourselves, pokers. There was just a bunch of kids up in the front of the school saying, "We heard you have a rapper in the school," and then I was the rapper in the school. I had crew and
You were the guy.
yeah, but I wasn't really the guy. I had other rappers. We were kind of like a school group.
Okay.
But I don't know, for whatever reason, my name stuck out. And when they asked where the rapper is, they came to my class. I remember, I think it was in biology. And you get the knock, and then somebody's like, "Yo, there's people here, whatever." And then you would just leave your class. Like, it was like life to us. It's still life to us. But we would just, teacher would go, and like, they couldn't stop you, but I just walk out the class, and then everybody that knew who I was and that I was rapping in the school, that whole class would leave the class. Like, the class was just empty. And then we would go down in the back where the gymnasium was, where the parking lot was, and there would be the whoever from whatever school, and they would come with whoever they had.
Damn, kind of like an episode of Step Up.
Yeah, they were. There was, like, so then there was all these people from whatever school that showed up. They would go and meet up with us over there, and then you would just have to go and freestyle. Like, it just turned into a huge cipher. So I think that is what kind of made you, because nowadays people, they set up for battles. It's like a boxing match. It's like, you're going to battle so and so on this date. So then you got 2 months or something like that to go and research the guy, find out about him, and go and use whatever. Where I didn't even know who the guy was that was coming to my school to battle me, but you just had to go and just off the top of your head, look at him, his friends, his car, his whip, his whatever, if his girl was there or whatever was going on, and create stuff on the spot to go and say stuff. And then that is kind of what made me get into the way that I kind of flow and rap, because people could be like, hat, bat, sat, rat, cat. And some people would come in like that way, but I would rather be fluid on the beat. I don't want to come in the same, because I know how you're going to come, or I at least think I know how you're going to come. Back then, now flows are different compared to what it was like back in those days. So I would try to come different, and then being that way and battling in that type of style, freestyle off the top. So you're thinking about your flow, you're thinking about the way, the words that you're rapping and all that. So all these three things, plus you don't even know who this guy is. You don't even know if all these guys are going to brawl with you after you freestyle, if you beat them, or if they beat me and my friends were in, were like upset that they beat you. You didn't know what was going to happen, but you just had to get in the moment. And that's kind of what helped put me into a moment to go and be like, when I'm sitting there writing songs like Let's Ride or Rubbin' or something like that, I'm always thinking about the situations I was in that brought me to the part that I was to be writing songs like that.
Yeah. So before you got into Let's Ride and Rubbin', the name Choclair, was it always been Choclair? Did you have a name before that you kind of was like, no, this is the one I'm going with?
Yeah, I was Special K, the stereo.
Special K.
But then there was a lot of Special K's out there. Yeah. So, because I remember there was a Special K, but I was Special K, and then I became Hiram B, which was a switch off my name,
of course,
my real name. And then one time I went out with a bunch of friends at school, and they went and they met up all these girls, and these were like the cool kids. I don't even know how I was invited. I was like not part of the cool kids. I was cool with the kids that weren't the cool kids. I was kind of in the middle of purgatory between cool kids and non-cool kids.
Okay.
Yeah, and somehow, some way, I got invited to go to Scarborough Town Center with these guys, and they met up with all these super hot girls that would never talk to me.
See me now, boys.
Yeah, that's crazy. And then the next day at school, they're on the phones in the back by the gymnasium where we would always battle when people would come to school. And they put me on the phone. They're like, "Oh yeah, we met up with all these girls." And then I went out on the phone, and the girls that were on the phone, they were asking which guy I was that was there last night, because clearly nobody remembered my name. I guess I didn't make a good impression or something like that. So they're asking me who I was and whatever, and I was saying I was, I was the dark. They'd be like, "Were you the light skinned guy?" I was like, "No." I was like, "I wasn't the chubby guy." They're like, "No." I was like, "I was the dark skinned guy." And then the guys there, because they're trying to rip me, like give me just kind of give me a hard time. Like, yeah, the chocolate guy. And I was like, yeah, Choclair is light as air. And
Oh
then,
shit.
yeah, and then right after that, my friend took the phone from me. And then we go to this area in Pope John Paul that was called the Pit. And he went there and he's like, yo, Special K tried to pick up my girl. He lowered his voice like Barry White, started telling the girls that he was Choclair as light as air. And they were mocking me about my name. And then I just kept it. And then I became Choclair. And then, because just Choclair was cool at that point, so they tried to twist it up and they're like, oh, you're not a Choclair, you're a Chisnocklid. And I was
This is
and
where
I
the
was like,
Chiznot came from and all that.
yeah. And then I was like, yeah, you know why you call me Chisnocklid? They're like, why? I was like, because when your girl walks by, your friend said, Chisnocked it. so that's that's how I became
Crazy.
sexual Chisnocklid, Choclair, the ill
Love it.
flower. And
That's
that's the story.
crazy. That's awesome. That's how you get a name. Now all of a sudden you've got some talent. You've realized I'm good at this. Talk about your big break, because when you're an artist, got people always talk about that first meeting or that first show when someone walks up to you and says, "You're good. Let's have a conversation to make this real." Do you remember that first time when you got that opportunity?
Yeah, well, the first time that it actually really happened, I was in the studio. I was working with Sox and Cardi. We were all this is like 94 or something like that. And we were all like working on whatever. We would go to the studio. All of us would go to the studio all the time.
And how old are you at the
Yeah,
time? How old are you at the time about with all of you? How old?
we're like 16,
So you're
17,
grinding
probably even
early though.
younger.
You're grinding at this early. Like like I got some talent. I want to get on this right away.
Well, I didn't really know what was going on, but what I did know was I was in the studio paying Socrates because I met him through my friend that I went to high school with, Ramon Charles, and he went and was living in this neighborhood that Socrates was living in, and Socrates was doing. He had like this single deal with this record, which is Plato record, but it was called Stepping Bigger at the time, and he had this song called Tuesday, and Still Caught Up on vinyl that was out at that point. And so he was and we liked the song, like he was good, but he made his own beats. So I went and I linked up with him, and then we just started recording. And at one point I used to send my demos in, like cassettes and stuff like that, into the record companies, but they never would listen to them. Nobody listened to them.
Mm-hmm.
They just get it, and they probably got another 50 at the same time. And I know that they were just going in the garbage. And me and my manager at the time, he wasn't my manager at the time, but me and Day, who was the producer at the time, I said to him, I said, man, we should just do this, because unless you know somebody or have an in, nobody's going to listen to you. Nobody's going to take you serious, like they're just not. And he called me the next day and said, were you serious about what you said? And I said, yeah. And within 6 weeks of that day, we started up Knee Deep Entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, Socrates, because Socrates was out and I was working with Sox, I almost gave up on rap at that point. I was going to be a record company guy, because I was like, I'll just put out records. And we had Sox, and he had this song called Father Time that Day produced for him. Mm-hmm. And back then, for a vinyl single, we were like, well, what's going to be the B-side? Because there's always a B-side on the vinyl, And so I recorded 21 years. And then Father Time, and then we put it on the vinyl. But we were pushing Father Time because, we thought it was a stronger song, just all that stuff. Father Time took off. It got Sox signed to Warner Brothers. He was doing for, I think, the Batman that Arnold Schwarzenegger was in, Mr. Freeze. He had a song called Freeze. He was doing whatever. And I remember listening to 88.1 on a Saturday with DJ X. Somebody called into the radio station. I was just happened to be listening to it. And someone said, that Father Time record is really good, but you guys really need to check out that B-side, which was 21 years. And then I remember DJ X saying, he's like, you know what? You're right. Because Father Time, yeah, but we really should give this other song a listen. And then they started playing 21 years. Just some random guy called in and told him that.
Wow, crazy.
And then they started playing 21 years. And then DJ
it was probably Socrates. Probably called for you. He probably called, just threw it under the bus. Like, yeah.
From this day, I still don't know who that is.
That's awesome.
But whoever did it, it was good, because that was the push, the little nudge that somebody needed. Then he started playing 21 years. It got big. DJ Premier put it on his Reality Check 101 album, and then it went over, and now we're Knee Deep Entertainment. and we have no artists. I'm a record guy. I just put a B-side because we needed to fill another side of the vinyl. So then I went and I did What It Takes with Julie Black, and Just a Second on the other side. And then that song went on to go and win my first Juno.
Yeah.
And then then everybody's looking at me. He's like, I guess you're the artist now. And I was like, I guess I am. And so that was my big thing right there.
Yeah, no, that's great. So you, Cardinal, Socrates, you guys grew up together, and actually Socrates has one of my an underrated song that I love, by the way, Coming Up, which a lot of people don't even know about. Yeah, there you go. Right, that's a one of my favorite songs. Great beat. Just shout to Socrates. I hope I get him on one day. But for you, like, how did you? So you guys are now a crew. You know, I want to quickly just talk about Northern Touch before we go back into speaking about a couple of my favorite songs from you. But Northern Touch is one of Canada's anthems. It is the anthem. You know, when you guys wrote this, how did it all come together?
Literally, I was working. I started at a summer job at the back of Mother Teresa High School, which was a daycare that was called Mother of Compassion. I started working there. My mom was working there, and she got me a summer job. So I was a daycare teacher on a summer job. And then they asked me to stay on because in the 90s, there was a lot of young teenage pregnancies going on. So they actually had the daycare attached to the high school.
Wow.
And a lot of the kids in that high school, a lot of kids in that daycare went to the high school. So, and there were all a lot of single mothers, just whatever was going on in the 90s at that point, that's what was happening. They asked me to stay on, so I stayed on. So I would leave from my high school and go straight to work. My school ended at 2:30. I started work at 3 at Mother Teresa. Good thing it was only like 10, 15 minutes away. And I had a 1982 Lynx with rusted floor and a bad muffler, but I got there on time. And then that's kind of like what I was doing. And then Saul Guy, who was managing the Rascals at the time,
yep,
they actually called me at work. Like, everybody right now, they call you on your cell phone. They actually called, and my boss came and said, Shax, you have a phone call. I was like, well, who's calling me at work? And then I went and I answered, and it was Big C and Saul Guy. And they said, yo, we just did this track with the Rascals. There's this new guy named Checkmate that's on it. It's already placed out. We send the tapes to Toronto. We're going to get you and Thrust on it. Would you like to go and report on this track? I said, okay, yeah, sure. When are we going to do it? We worked out the day, the schedule. We went there. And then me, Cardi Sock, Solitaire, Road Dollar, all of us, we always went to each other's studio sessions all the time. We just, whoever's picking up, who are you picking up? I'm picking up this, I'm picking up them, whatever. We all went to each other. So when I went to go and do that track in studio, I had Cardi with me. I was like, Cardi, I'm going to the studio to do this track with the Rascals and this new guy named Checkmate and blah, 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 and Thrust. So we all went to the studio. So we go to the studio. I remember meeting Mastermind in the parking lot. Studio was like Bathurst and Queen. I believe it was Bathurst and Queen. And then we went in to go and record the track. Back then, everybody wanted to be last. Everybody. So the Rascals were first already, and Checkmate was already third. So me and Thrust did rock, paper, scissors to see who would go last. And I lost. So he went last. That's why I'm second.
Wow. I couldn't see it going any differently, to be honest with you. I just couldn't picture the song like interchanging. And that was one of the questions I was going to ask about the song is, how did you decide which order to go in? But I guess that answers my question.
Literally rock, paper, scissors. I lost. So Thrust went last. And then Cardi's there. So I did my part. Thrust did his part. And then we were working on the hook. And Cardi I remember he was sick too. Cardi had a cold or whatever he had. He was just sneezing, coughing. He wasn't feeling well. And I was writing a hook, and then Cardi came in and he was helping me write this hook. And then we were just like, we need that energy. And we said, Cardi, go in there. And I remember as I think this is him with his towel. He's like, okay.
I can't even sing.
But he pulled it off. And then we went in and then we did it. And then we sent it back to whichever, to the Rascals and them. And then we found out that they wanted to reprint their Cash Crop album and put it on it because Cash Crop, their album was out already. I believe Dreaded Fist was on that record. And so we went and put it on there. And they were re-releasing it. And then all of a sudden, DMX comes out with Where My Dog's At. Exact same beat, exact same everything at the exact same time. And at that point, we were like, oh man, because they weren't really feeling, it's not that they weren't feeling it, but they weren't supporting rappers from Canada like that. And DMX, like we knew
Yeah,
he
he
was
was
the boy.
huge then.
Yeah, well, this was his first record, but he was bubbling beforehand. And then that was his big single for his first album. And here we come, exact same time, December 1997 is when the record came out. And then really though, January 98 when it really started flowing, and we were kind of worried about DMX would, steal all the air out of the room. But what ended up happening was the people here, they loved the song, they liked it, and it became one of, I won't even say in Canadian hip hop, in Canadian music, period. That's how the song Northern Touch came together, and then here we go.
Oh, it's such a recognizable beat, and the lyrics in it are crazy. And again, it's still on my iPod. I listen to it pretty much every day I'm in the car. And, whether it's that or, there's so many great Canadian artists out there that didn't get recognized. But you guys were the pillars. I mean, you were the ones that got the Canadian music industry, I would say, relevant in hip hop. I don't know if you agree or not, but I think it's pretty relevant to say.
Yeah, well, the only thing is that what I would say is that it definitely wasn't just us.
Fair
Like it
point.
was us
Yeah,
on
that's
the
true.
song, but at that point we were starting to, we knew like all the rappers that were out there, like Infinite, Ghetto Concept, Citizen Kane, Brass Monk, you name it. We all knew each other. We were all striving for the same thing. And we were all influenced by each other because we were all fans of each other's music. Like Boiling Point by Concrete Mob, big up to Deuce Deuce out there. That's one of my favorite Canadian hip hop songs of all time. I tell him that all the time. He always used to be like, "Shock, stop." I'd be like, "Yeah, man, no, Boiling Point, that's the joint." I tell Maestro all the time when I see him, I was like, "Man, I can't even remember how old I was, but I was walking over the bridge on Markham Road, and you were going into Cut Creator, and I saw all these green Pathfinders come out, and all I saw was orange Dope State jackets going into Cut Creator. Cut Creator was like one of the first places where you could get designs and everything in your head.
Okay, yeah.
So that's where it was. And I remember because I lived right there, and I would see him, and I was like, man, I used to say, I'm like, Maestro over there, that's Maestro. And then now that me and him are so cool, it's kind of like surreal for me, because I'm like, I was a huge fan of Maestro. I still am, but now we're friends. Like I could text him and he'll call me back. Like, like it's a crazy thing. So yeah, that song did do a lot, but there was a lot of influence from others that were doing a lot in the industry at the time as well. It just happened to be us five guys that had that song. There's a lot of people that
I definitely
really
want to talk about the music industry and kind of where it's gone now in Canada, with so many huge artists taking over the top of the Billboard charts, which, to be honest with you, I never thought I'd ever see, but it's great. I want to quickly touch on Let's Ride, Rub, and that kind of, making those tracks. Let's Ride, again, one of my favorite songs. The minute you hear the piano right off the bat, it's coming. I love the song. What, talk about kind of the creative process between, with Let's Ride. Who brought it to you?
Okay, so I'll try and keep it short, but so Cardinal with me again, like we were saying, we would all hang out together. Me, Sox, Cardi, Solitaire, Road Dollar, Julie Black, all of us were always together for whatever we were doing. That's who we went out with. It was like, we're going to the government, not the provincial or state government, the club, the government. Down
I know the club government.
Yeah, just for everybody else out there that may not know what that place was. We were going to the government, and I remember, I forgot what happened. Probably one of us didn't have enough to get in, and something like that. We were all broke, and we didn't have enough to get in. So we were in the parking lot, and we were like two cars parked like this. I was in this car in the passenger seat. Sox was in the front, and then there's a car. I forget where Cardi was sitting, but there was two cars parked like this. And so we would go and be like, "Here's Sox." We'd just go and give him his beat cassette, and Cardi would give us his beat cassette, and we would play it in the car and just skip songs for whatever we like. And I like the Let's Ride beat. So I said to Cardi, Cardi, I like this beat. Let me go and rock on this. Now, Cardinal always calls me Chocolate, latte for short.
Yeah.
So he'd be like, "Latte, this beat seems a little fast. Do you think you can rock that?" I said, "Man, give me this beat. Let me go and try and do something on it." So he goes to Sox. He goes, "Yo, since you guys are Scarborough," because everybody else was West End, right? They're from Eglinton West, Etobicoke, downtown, whatever. It was me, Sox, and Road Dollar were the only ones from Scarborough, and the other seven men were from west of Yonge Street. And so,
yeah.
So he goes to Cardi. Cardi goes to Sox. He says, "Yo, make sure you're in the studio with this guy because he doesn't do any voiceovers to make sure that he actually rapped on this beat." And then out of all of that came out. That's why Socrates is at the beginning of Let's Ride,
Yep.
because it was like a challenge between me and Cardi because he thought the beat was too fast and I couldn't keep up. And he told Sox to make sure he was there. So when I went to record it, Sox was there, but then I had all of this beginning part, and then I said, Sox, go and say something at the beginning of the track,
Yep.
which he did, and that's why Sox is on That's Right. And we did it in
Okay.
1997. 1997, and then when there was interest with me getting signed to Virgin, which took about a year and a half to actually happen, the guy who was going to sign me, his name was Russ Herbert. He told me, because he heard the song and he heard some other songs, he said, I don't care whatever you put out from now until we release your first record. And I was like, well, when's that going to be? He's like, just trust me, which I did. And he came through. I owe a lot to Russ Herbert. Big up to Russ Herbert. He went on to become the vice president of Virgin Urban in England and France and whatever, like Europe or something. Yeah. He went on after this record. Everybody that came off of this record got promotions, got their own this, that. Everybody.
Everyone got a paycheck.
Yeah, exactly. But he told me, don't put it out, let me put it out. So I held on to that song from 1997 till 1999 September. And then we went and got Little X, where Little X's first video was What It Takes when he started working with Hype Williams. His very first video, because nobody wanted to get a Canadian director on it because they all thought we were B-rated.
Yeah.
So we went and put him on because we knew him from time. So we put him on there. So that was his first video. And then he returned the favor and did the video for Let's Ride, and we did it. And then Let's Ride became what it came. And but that song, when it came out in September of 99, was recorded in May of 97.
And he told you to sit on it. That's crazy.
He said, save it.
And that's why, I don't know how you do that. You got a bona fide hit.
Yep, but that's why Flagrant came out with Socrates, that produced it. Bear Witness with me, rest in peace, Guru from Gangstar came out, and then came Let's Ride. And we were still doing our little knee-deep releases. We had Mad Fiber, we had things, because we put out Hustlin' by Cardinal, and On With the Show, and Julie Black's Rallying, and Sox is this, and Danny O's that, and we were still putting out records, but they told me, don't put out that record, save it for me, which we did, and then he did what he said he would do, and Let's Ride became what it became.
Crazy. When you listen to a song for the first time, all right, and I know you've made a lot of songs in the past, but you hear a song and it stops playing, well, how do you know it's a hit? Like, how do you know, like, that this one is going to be big? Did you get that feeling with Let's Ride?
Yes, I did, because I had a real hard-ass friend. Like, and when I mean hard ass, like, he was very critical of the music. And he was actually Sox's manager at the time. There was nothing pleasing him. He was like, into the Redmans, the Wu-Tangs, the Mobb Deeps, he was a street dude. So he liked harder music. Like like everybody liked, Diddy and those stuff like at the time, but he was into the hard stuff.
Yeah. And
he was Sox's manager. And I remember one time, I forgot why, but he was in my car and I was driving on the Don Valley Parkway to take him somewhere. I can't remember where. And I was like, hey, yo, me, Cardi, and Sox just did this song. You want to check this out? He said, yeah, okay, play it. And I hated playing him songs because he'd always go, yeah, it's all right.
Shoot everything down.
Yeah, like that he was the shoot down guy. He was the shoot down king. Call him that.
You need those guys though. You need those guys.
Yeah. He was the SDK.
Okay.
But I played him the song and he's like, this song is good. He's like, I like it actually. Oh, that's as much of the love that he gave me on that. But at that point, because I knew who he was and how he was, I was like, oh, he must really like it.
Yeah.
And that was my first time saying, okay, this might be something. But then I was so young, I didn't know anything. I had no experience in the music with the exception of just me not even freelancing, just freestyling, putting songs out for other people. Because remember, at this time, I was not even trying to be a rapper anymore. I was trying to be a record guy. The only reason why I kept putting out records was because we never signed no artists. And I was the only guy that knew how to rap and make music. So we're like, we're a record label and we have no artists. Well, I'll just put out music I'll just put on music until we find the artist.
That's kind of how we started the network, to be honest with you, with FHN. Like we're like, well, we got a network, but we don't have any artists. I guess I got to be the host to start. And then we started bringing more guys in, and that's kind of what we're developing here. So I understand completely where you're coming from. But so you guys, so you lay the song out, Ice Cold Winds of Juno, I believe in 2000, which is fantastic. So you got 4 Juno awards. But since 2000, a lot has changed in the music industry. It's 2021. People are streaming. I want to quickly touch on that. What do you think about streaming? Do you think it's helped the artist, or do you think it's kind of hurt the industry? Or is it kind of a little bit of both? You can sit on the fence on this one. You're allowed to.
Yeah, because it has its pros and cons. It helps because everybody, like almost everybody. I think I just was reading something. There's like 300 million subscribers to Spotify, and I'm sure there's however many to Tidal and all these other streaming services. And it's almost just anybody. It's like my mom, who still wants to fill out the withdrawal slip when she goes to the bank.
Yeah,
has Spotify. She doesn't do anything digital except for her Spotify. And she goes, Alexa, play Spotify, Pat Boone. And then she listens to her music. So that is the good thing about it, because it's accessible to everybody. Like they could just hear something. Maybe it's in a playlist. Maybe they're in a restaurant, and then you have your Shazams, and then you can push it. Oh, what song is this? And you push your Shazam, and then you find out what song it is, and you like it, add it to your playlist, buy it, whatever you do with it. I think it floods the market a lot. So where you had Like It or Not, I'm not here to say this side or that side, but Like It or Not, when you had A&Rs and they were filtering all the music that were coming, which sucked for some because there was artists that probably should have been heard, but somebody just didn't get or connect with the music that they were doing. Mm-hmm. And they were like, I don't get it. So they didn't listen to it. But there was filters to be like, like what's good, what's going to be sustainable, what's just going to be a hit for today, what's can be, this guy's got potential and keep going. This guy can go, like an Usher. An Usher was signed before he got big. He put out two records before he mm-hmm. actually got big. That's right. Like he was out there, but they nurtured him. Justin Bieber, the same situation. He was signed to Usher, and then he did whatever, and then he put, so I think though, because of that, now you have everybody just throwing music into the everything, like into the atmosphere. So it's hard. Could be a lot of junk depending on what you consider junk or the audience consider junk compared to what is actually like great music or whatever. So you're in the same bucket, and it's harder for people to go and decipher, like what's good and what's not, because you have a whole bunch of things. It's like looking for gold. It's like, you just have a thing full of sand. It's harder to shake out the sand and find the nuggets, whatever your nugget is, whatever type of music that you are into. And I think that is what the situation is, because there's really no filter. There probably shouldn't be a filter, but as we get used to more just being bombarded with, like every week, there's probably thousands of songs that come out every week. Probably even every day.
New singles, new artists, one-offs, or the Rebecca Blacks or the Fridays of the world that, put guys that actually make music for a living. Someone starts streaming this song because it's so bad that actually is better than someone that's actually making real music. And that exactly. For me is the tough part, right? But then you get guys like Justin Bieber, who was just a YouTube star back then. He was a Canadian, and all of a sudden now you got The Weeknd, Drake, Alicia Cara, all these great Canadian artists. That's got to feel good to know that you were kind of the start of these guys. But man, I wish I could have made their money.
You know what? It does feel good to see all these Canadian artists. I think it's a lot of Canadian artists on the top of the charts right now. Yeah. It's great to see that happen. It's really great. I will say though, it would be great to see some of these artists from Canada that are out there and doing really well. And it's not just hip hop, just even in just Canadian music, whether it's the Arkells or if it's Simple Plan or something like
country artists.
So I acknowledge back to go and say I grew up listening to, like, I love Platinum Blonde. Standing in the
dark. Yeah, absolutely.
Like there was a time in the 80s, I didn't even know half these guys are Canadian. I was listening to Bryan Adams. I was listening
to Bryan Adams. Yeah, absolutely.
Gowan and Aha and all these different groups and stuff like that. I had no idea. But it would be great that if they were to go and let people know, because it's always great to go and show your influences in music. You know, like if you're a great singer, if you're a female singer, great to be like, oh yeah, I grew up listening to Patti LaBelle and Whitney Houston. It would be great for these younger and new Canadian artists to be like, if they did, I'm not telling them what to say, but it'd be great if they did listen to a Brian Adams, be like, yeah, I was listening to Brian Adams, summer of '69. Man, my mom used to play that all the time, got me into music. I love listening to Platinum Blonde. I love listening to Maestro Fresh West, Michie Me, Dream Warriors, whoever you want to say, you know, Avril Lavigne, Shania Twain. It would be great if the Canadian artists would go and acknowledge the Canadian artists before them, because right now, Canadian artists are like, it's not a Canadian artist situation anymore. It's just like they're just big artists.
That's true.
And it would be
I
great
know.
for them to go and be like, yeah, you know, I'm sure they have American influences. Everybody does. But it would also be good for them to acknowledge, because then it bigs up the people that were here. And it's always good to big up your home, because the home is where, you know, the home is where it made your bread. Like, you know, it made your, wherever you went in the world, when you came back to Toronto, Vancouver, Ottawa, to Shenandoah, wherever it is, came back to, they always showed you love and stuff like that. And I think that should happen a bit more.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And you know what? Before we go, I just wanted to quickly talk to you. You've got a great new music video out. I absolutely love it, called "One Day Away." You know what? You wrote? Did you write the song? How did the music video kind of come about?
Well, okay, so before we go, I want to say much love to Classified
Yes,
on the West Coast,
absolutely.
East Coast.
Another great Canadian guy.
Yeah, you know, Classified. We did a really great tour a couple of years ago with me, Classified, and Maestro Fresh West, called the Canadian Classic Tour. I believe, in my opinion, it was one of the best collaborative tours across the country that's ever happened.
Oh
You had
yeah,
three generations of Canadian hip hop. You had, I grew up listening to Maestro, so there.
yeah. Me
Class
too.
grew up to listening to Maestro and myself, and then there's Class. So we have three groups. Like, I would go and meet people, and when I would go and do shows, and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, I'm here to see Maestro. I'm here to see Class. I'm here to see you." Three generations of hip hop, Canadian hip hop, and we would do shows. Now, you know, like sometimes you go and do shows and you don't go on stage, or when you watch shows, you don't go. They don't go on stage till 11:30, 12. You don't
Mhm.
get out of
Oh,
there till
drives me
2, 3,
drives me nuts.
drives you nuts. Well, imagine for the artist, because by the time the show's over, oh, it's 1:45. You think we could go anywhere and have, like, you know, after party or something? Yeah, everything closed at 2, and then you're done, and then you're finished. These were like real legit shows where you went, doors open at 7, show started at 9, it ended at 11:30. Almost every night, sold out shows by 6 o'clock, line up around the door. And we
Where were
weren't
you playing? Like, name a couple cities. Where were you at?
everywhere.
Everywhere. All right.
We did like 20, I don't know. I might have the number off a little bit, but like 20 shows in 27 days,
Damn.
all across Canada, every night, every single night, leaving at 4 in the morning to get to the city by 2, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, do sound check at 5, show starts at 8, finish by 11, tear down, whatever, leave in the middle of the night. But
Wow.
the
Busy.
crowd response and everything was absolutely amazing. Amazing. And I bet you, if anybody out there that's watching and talks about went and saw us in one of the venues that we were, and we weren't doing like little small clubs, we were doing like convention centers and like places that held like, you know, 1,500 and plus, you know, like we were doing big venues. And anybody that came to one of those shows, and I continue to still hear it, they're like, yeah, that was one of the best shows that we went. And it was an absolute amazing show, and we went and did that. Okay, so I'm long talking, so let
No,
me
it's good.
edit
It's
that.
good. It's good.
But yeah, so we did that show, and so that's history. It's history. It's one of the best tours in Canadian hip hop, all Canadian band hip hop tour that came across Canada ever, in my opinion, till date. So yeah, so me and Class did it. So when we went after the tour, he said, "Yo, man, we had such a great time doing this tour. I want to go and work on a record with you." And I was like, "Okay." He's like, "Yeah, I'll produce it and you go and rap on it." I was like, "Okay." So in May of the year after, which I believe would have been 2018, 19,
Yep.
somewhere.
Somewhere. Close enough.
Definitely not this year, but the year before, or the year before, since we're in 2021. I flew out to Halifax, went to his house for 3 days, Sunday to Wednesday, banged out 9 tracks in his house, 3 days straight. I slept in his basement, and he had a studio in his garage. So every morning at 10, him and his wife and his kids would cook us breakfast. We'd be in the studio from 10 till 2 and do it 3 days in a row. And we banged out all these albums. And then we did Hurt Everybody, which came out 2 years ago, November. And then this summer we did Backdraft, which we released. We came out. And then just over December, we did One Day Away. And the whole thing about going into that song, which all came out and did really well and is doing really well. So much love to Classified and everybody, the whole Half-Life camp. And then what came together with that was I just was writing a song. The song felt very compassionate and everything like that. And I just wrote a song. And then when we wanted to do with the video, I didn't want to do like a love video, like with the words saying something and relating it to the words. I wanted to contrast it. I wanted to go and sit there and be like, you can love somebody so much, but this is also the friction. Like, you know, like she's mad at you. You guys get into arguments, you do whatever. So I remember telling Lee Solo, who shot the video, big up to Lee Solo. He did Backdraft and he did One Day Away. I said, all the stuff that's going on in the video, I want him to be fighting, arguing, complete conflict, contrast to what I'm actually saying in the song until we get to the end of the song. And then all that drama that's going on, I'll do it all for you. We come back together. And that was the idea. Lee Solo gave the vision to it and he put the direction to it. And One Day Away came out, and it's, I hear it from a lot of people. They say, I hear the song, I watch the video, it gives me chills. It gives me chills on my face. They're like, it's such a great song. They really like it. And I'm happy for that. And I'm happy that I was able to record it, pick up to Classified, and for the visuals, Lee Solo for sure.
Well, if you ever hear the song or watch the video, there's a scene that I love where he finds a note. I'm not going to say what it says on the note, but it's fantastic. It's a great idea. You know, do me a favor. Where can the people find you? Instagram, Twitter, what's the handle?
All right. So Instagram, you can find me at Instagram at Choclair Official. Twitter, it's just Choclair. Facebook, it's Choclair Official. YouTube, Choclair Official. LinkedIn, it's Mr. Choclair. I know there's a bunch.
Gotta keep it corporate. Gotta keep it corporate. Yeah.
Yeah, you can find me everywhere. I'm on. The only thing that you may not find me on, which I'm working on right now, is like the TikToks and the new stuff that are coming up. I don't really dance, I boogie, so that's why I'm not on TikTok. Yeah, that's how much my movement is.
Yeah, I posted 2 videos. One's of my kid eating, making a funny smile, and the other was I did a Call of Duty snipe the other day. I thought it was hilarious.
My son got like so many followers, and I was like, wow, you got more followers than me on TikTok. He's like, yeah, Dad, step your game up. So yeah, but I am gonna get on there. I'm working on all the other stuff, you know. But yeah, you can find me on all those things. Choclair Official. If anything, look up Choclair Official. I'm all over the place, and come and check it out. I want you guys to go and check out One Day Away, Backdraft. Look me up on my YouTube. Like, comment, and subscribe to everything. And we got a lot more music coming out. I'm just actually going into the studio to go and finish off some other stuff with some new people, so we can have some more music by the end of January, going into February, and hopefully it'll take us into the summer when the pandemic is over, and I can actually come out and see you in your city and go and party with you on.
Oh, I'd love to. I can't wait to see you live. And again, once everything opens back up, really looking forward to the new music. I'd like to thank our guest Choclair for joining us today. This is the first ever episode of Pop Topic. Thanks to our sponsor, Dr. Tees in Barrie, Ontario. Got you covered for all your clothing needs. Thanks again to my producer, Maddie Huddle, for doing all the work behind the scenes.
What up, Maddie Huddle?
I'm your host, Tyler Fines. Tune in each and every week. We're going to have new episodes, guests, conversation, movie reviews, everything, because I am bored as shit and I got things I got to talk about. This is Pop Topic, and we will be back. Let's go. Thanks for showing up.
Peace.
One day away and it's all good. 2 weeks to stay, but I get through. 3 years to go and I'm back home. I'm back home. I do it all for you.
Damn. Remember meeting you in them pants, the navy blue jeans with the studs on them, the matching jean jacket, girl, you stunting on them. We went and just looked at the view, and then we went and talked for a few, and then I knew.
That's what I knew.
I knew.
That's what I knew.
365, yo, we spend together. You came to my house even in bad weather. You set up my home when I was on tour. I came back home, I couldn't love you more. We used to just joke about the streets with light under our feet, just like it's Billie Jean. But the typhoons came in, winds and rains came in, and now our whole world just caved in. What the
One day away and it's all good. Too weak to stay, but I get through. 3 years to go and I'm back home. I'm back home. I do it all for you.
I do it. Yeah.
I do it all for you.
I do it. Yeah.
I do it all for you.
Sometimes you fall deep inside a hole. Every time you think you climbed enough, you still just looking up. And then you try to go and get a grip, and you try to move faster, but just keep upping up. Deep depression, life's in succession. My mind is my only lethal weapon. Can I get an amen? Oh, hallelujah. You're God's child, don't let the devil go and fool ya. It's real when you're staring in the river. Reflection is getting more clearer, getting more realer. You can handle it or you can peel out. You thought of that for a quick second, then you're off of that. You're redlining on the thought island where darkness and nightmares are wildin'. But the light in my heart keeps striving. One day away, then I'll start keep smiling.
One day away and it's all good. Too weak to stay, but I get through. 3 years to go and I'm back home. I'm back home. I do it all for you. I do it all for you. I do it all for you.
Yeah, and now I'm chilling with a winner. That's what's up. I always greet the man when the mirror is up. He predicts how my day goes, but if I say how my day goes, then my day goes how I say so. He's cool when I smile, he smiles back. He says you on track, but he tells you all the spaces that you lack. You argue, then you argue back. It's like a self-track. One day off of that.
One day away and it's all good. Too weak to stay, but I get through. 3 years to go and I'm back home. I'm back home. I do it all for you. I do it all for you. I do it all for you.